My name is Lee Glaze, class of 1986 from the Citadel, and I'm the color commentator for the Citadel football and have been for the last decade or so. I've got the honor and duty again tonight to host the Beyond the Barracks show. Today brought to you by Cutwater Spirits, and we're on site again. This time we're at Dunleavy's Pub over on Sullivan's Island, and Coach, this is a pretty cool place.
Oh, it's an awesome place. Thank you for making the long drive. Appreciate it.
Well, I found out last night that my duties were needed, so you've made that drive for me up to Sumter, and volunteered to do it again this year, so I figured I'd do it for you. Brian Giffen, the voice of the Bulldogs, he can't be with us tonight because he is in Boston.
Yes.
And he's getting ready to call the Citadel at Boston College basketball game. It will be on this network. I think tip-off is 8 o'clock.
8 p.m.
So we'll be getting out of here right at 7 o'clock for him to start his pregame show there. So you can go right from us to him. And I think then he will be back in his familiar. Few football coaches with us here tonight. Of course, we always have head coach Maurice Drayton. He's with us here. We've also got Tony Coaxum. Tony is a special teams coach, and then also Danny Lewis, I believe your assistant head coach.
Head coach.
And your tight ends coach. But, the last week and this week, little different as far as, how this show normally runs, because last week we kind of hashed out Samford a lot because we had the bye week this week. We're going to talk a lot more about Chattanooga tonight, but briefly, because I know you've been on a high all week with that Samford win. Great win last week, 21-11. They got some garbage points late to make it closer. How did that propel you into the bye week?
No, it was great in preparing us for the bye week, but I'd be remiss if I did not do this and take time. Definitely want to thank Jeff Hartzell. He announced his retirement today. He's been the sports editor of the South's oldest daily newspaper, Charleston Post and Courier. Jeff is an icon in the community. He's synonymous with all things Low Country. So we definitely want to send a big shout out to Jeff. Enjoy retirement. But not only that, you've already talked about Coach Conroy. We want to make sure we wish him good luck as he faces one of Charleston's own in Earl Grant.
That's right.
Right here, born and bred. So Ed and the basketball Bulldogs, let's get after them tonight. And last but not least, I'm a big wrestling fan. So on Sunday,
like WWA?
No, like real wrestling, like Citadel wrestling.
I got you. I'm all about
so,
that.
So, I was at the wrestling battle at the Citadel yesterday, and it was unbelievable. We took 3 first-place finishes, 2 second-place finishes, and a third-place finish, and I'm so excited. I don't know how I'm going to pull it off, but we have a big wrestling weekend on the Yorktown on Friday.
How about
that? And I can't wait to try to sneak away for about 30 minutes to watch some wrestling.
When I used to play, we used to go to a movie on Friday night as a team. Maybe that could be your movie.
Yes, I like the sound of that.
Let your team go over there and cheer them on the way that they cheer us on Saturdays. Let's dive into the bye week a little bit. I know last week we talked a little bit about it, kind of what you hope to accomplish in the bye week. Bye weeks are, to me, we're always kind of awkward. When you're going into one, you end up looking more at yourself than you do more at the other team. How did your bye week go?
So with this bye week, we decided to put fun back in football. It's a long season. Our bye week was towards the end of the season with 3 games remaining. I wanted these guys to take it back to when they played Little League football. So we had a bunch of the managers, the athletic trainers, while we were getting work done on UT Chattanooga. It was important that the guys remember why they're playing this game. So we spent time doing that in addition to studying Chattanooga.
It's also a time to try to get well. We had a couple of people that were a little banged up. Any injury reports that we need to talk about, or anybody that was able to maybe get back during that bye week?
Yeah, I'm happy to say we're a healthy team on the cusp. He's going to be fine this week. We're excited about having him back at the tight end position, and we have his position coach here tonight, Danny Lewis. He can talk more about that and what he brings to the team. The other thing we did, we were very pragmatic. We did a lot of self-studies. I'm very percentage-based in a lot of decisions I make, and we were able to take this week and find out what's good for us, what's not good for us, what we need to implement, etc.
Well, I know one thing that's good for you. If you can go +3 in the turnover margin, that works out pretty good, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
We'll take that every week. When we, again, talking about a bye week and really kind of all the way up until that bye week, really until the Samford game, one of the biggest things you talked about all year long were what you call sins.
Yes.
Self-inflicted negatives.
Yes.
We didn't have that in the Samford game, and I think that was a big reason why we were able to kind of turn that corner, and maybe this team might have an idea of how good they could be.
Yeah, absolutely correct. Defensive sins was at an all-time low. Offensively, it was our lowest payments in the last 4 weeks, so that portion is good. And it correlates to production. It correlates to a win more time than not. So we were excited about that.
You talked a lot about before the game last week, right before we get ready to dive into Chattanooga here, that you wanted to get your running backs involved more. You really wanted to see us be able to run the ball with our running backs, and your thoughts on, and as you reflect back on that.
Yes, it was a very good job out of Cooper Wallace. Garrison Johnson, I can't say enough about him. He's a walk-on, by the way. Yeah, really? You know, I'm a big walk-on fan. That was in school in our graduate program, found out he had a history of playing football, so we enticed him to come out for the team. So that's a big win for us. Johnny, you can't say enough about Johnny and Corey. All four of our backs had production. And in order for us to be successful this week leading into Chattanooga, we will have to have production out of the four backs as well.
It's a four-headed monster, and all of them really kind of bring a little bit different sauce to the game. Garrison maybe a little more powerful than some of the other ones. Johnny the slasher type, and of course Corey doing a really, and Cooper with nice speed, being able to get to the corner. So it was good to see that. I hope we're going to be able to do that again this week. I know Chattanooga gave up over 100 yards rushing to Western Carolina. They don't run the ball so well, or historically hadn't run the ball so well. So I was a little surprised to see them give up that many yards to Western.
Yes, if we're starting to jump into Chattanooga, it starts with their offense. Their offense is high-powered, and it's centered around the quarterback. Now, he did not play last week. He's expected to be back, and he's a problem.
He's really good.
Yes. Transfer from UCLA. He's a California guy, and when I think of California quarterbacks, I can't help but to think of Aaron Rodgers. This guy is really, really good. Just offensive totals in their 5 of the last 6 games that they've won, they've averaged 450 to 500 yards of offense.
Not so much last week. Probably had something to do with the backup quarterback in there. He didn't throw for a really high percentage, but he threw for over 300 yards. The big thing was he gave up, I think it was 2 or 3 picks in the game, and then it really kind of turned the tide on them. They jumped out early in that ball game, ended up taking a 14-0 lead up at Western Carolina. The second score was a scoop and score,
yes,
a 75-yard scoop and score. Of course, that's always good if you can get that. But then Western started chipping away, and Western was able to throw it all over the lot on them.
Yeah, that quarterback, I'm sure it was Gonzalez. Yeah, I mean, he's lights out. To me, you had number 1 and number 2 quarterbacks in our conference dueling. Well, excuse me. Chatty's quarterback didn't play.
If he'd have played.
But if he would have played, you would have had 1 and 2 dueling against each other.
When you look at Chattanooga, they're very athletic. I don't want you to give away the game plan because they might be tuning in on YouTube. You never know. But obviously, you spent a lot of time last week or 2 weeks ago with that Samford game plan. They're very athletic also, yes, with a quarterback that can run. Got a little bit different dynamic this year. I mean, with this game coming up and playing against a team that's pretty hot. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about what we can expect to see on Saturday. And by the way, it's homecoming this weekend, folks, and it's going to be a huge crowd there. I think it's close to being sold out, if not already. Is it your reunion year?
No, it's not my reunion year, but last I checked, as of 1 p.m. today, there were 400 tickets left. So let's do a great job and let's sell this game out. Let's be excited about coming home to the Citadel and having a great time during homecoming.
We're going to do that. Tell us a little bit about what to expect from Chattanooga.
Yes, defensively. I know you mentioned the run earlier. Chattanooga runs the ball very effectively. They're more of an inside-outside split zone team. We have to be able to stop that running back. Once you do that, then on conversion downs, third and medium, we have to stop the quarterback. If we're playing against the starter, we have to stop him from using his feet to gain first downs. And then last but not least, defensively, when we get them in third and long, we have to narrow our rush lanes. Too many times this year, it's been third and extra long, and quarterbacks have been able to scramble for conversions. So we have to stop them on their conversion downs.
We did a much better job of that with Crittenden. He is a great runner, the guy from Samford, but did a much better job of more of a contained rush more than anything, not giving him the opportunity to step up inside of one guy and then all of a sudden he's out on the, and that turns into, most times turns into really big plays. You were able to almost eliminate big plays against Samford. That's something we haven't been able to do yet. What do you think was the key for that?
So one of our keys to victory was playing a top-down defense, obviously not giving up a big play. And our guys did a great job of doing that in the big scheme. There were a few times where we bended defensively, but we did not give up the score. And that's where we were better versus earlier in the season.
Chattanooga didn't do it so much last week against Western. They went over the top one time with a 43-yard touchdown pass, I think. But with the quarterback from UCLA, they're going to try to take the top off the defense. You know that. That's going to put a lot of pressure on your young defensive backs. What's been the message for them this week?
Well, truthfully, they're not young anymore.
Well, you know, comparatively speaking.
Comparatively speaking, you're right. But that's the messaging that I've given them. I've just I've anointed them. You're not a knob on the football field.
Okay.
You're an upperclassman. You're not a freshman. You're not a redshirt freshman. You're an upperclassman. I want you to walk like that. I want you to talk like that. I want you to have that boldness about playing that position. So we're playing a mind game, so to speak, with those guys, but we expect for them to move and act as if, hey, you've been here, you've done this before. And they have. They just did it the week previous.
We're going to go to a break here, and you and I are going to come back a little bit later on after I get a chance to talk to Tony a little bit. I'm really looking forward to talking to the special teams coach. Man, what a unit that has been for you this year. But I'm also going to ask him how miserable it is to be a special teams coach for you. Because somebody who's done that at the level that you've done it at, I'm sure you're not a whole lot of fun to be around. Of course, he's done it at that level too. But
correct.
And then, of course, we got Danny Lewis coming in after that. So we'll come back at the end, though, and we'll talk a little bit more about Chattanooga and maybe what we got to do to get a homecoming win this Saturday
like a plan.
With the Bulldogs. You're listening to Beyond the Barracks. We are at Dunleavy's Club on Sullivan's Island, right on Middle Street in Sullivan's Island. Come on out and see us if you're close by. We'll be back after these messages. Welcome back, everybody. Lee Glaze here at Dunleavy's Pub over on Sullivan's Island. You're listening to the Beyond the Barracks show, and very fortunate to have a stall warrior with me here tonight.
Yes,
Tony
sir.
Coaxum, special teams coach and also the game day management coach, and played over at Stall High School back in the day. And I remember Stall High School.
Fun fact, I didn't actually play football in high school.
Oh, you didn't?
At Stall.
Okay.
I was a basketball player and mainly a track guy there.
Gotcha. They Stall High School is no more. It's kind of like my high school.
Not what it used to be.
I grew up on James Island. I went to Fort Johnson High School, but now that's James Island over there. But anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about Stall. They got good colors, though.
Beautiful colors.
Beautiful. They match the Citadel colors almost perfectly. Of course, then you went on to Army, and you did play ball at Army.
Played there.
Now, you got to talk about that transition. You go from not playing in high school to playing cornerback in Army. Tell me a little bit about that.
Played football as a little kid and, get those growing spurts and had this weird kind of little injury with my knee. And the doctor was saying, oh, well, you can't play sports anymore. So that was in 7th grade. So I was like, well, that's not going to work. So I kind of gave up football in high school and played basketball, ran track. I was an all-state track guy here. I'm actually inducted in Stall's Hall of Fame for track and field. But when I got a chance to go to West Point, I wanted to get back into playing football. So I decided to walk on to the team and went through our prep school first, walked on in as a receiver and put up some good numbers there. And the good Lord blessed me with a lot of athletic ability to run fast and jump high, and became built in with the recruited guys from there. And going into my sophomore year, I made the transition from wide receiver to DB, and then I'm starting for the next 3 years.
That's awesome. Now, we always used to joke that they played cornerback because they couldn't catch.
I've always heard that, but I've always turned it around, and I said the guys who play receivers who are afraid to hit.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe so.
That's how I counter that one.
Our job is to not get hit.
There you go.
I played receiver in college. Started as a quarterback, ended up being a receiver. But so we would have probably had some good battles back in the day.
I think I could have taken you.
No, you couldn't cover me, Tony. I'm sorry.
You sound like a good receiver. That's how we do. We go back and forth.
No, you couldn't cover me. Now you've had some great coaching experience. Also,
Yes,
most
sir.
recently you're the head coach at Bluefield State. You've had a couple of other visits in college. You've been at Army also, Central Michigan, and also Northern Illinois, and a couple of stints in the NFL where you won a Super Bowl with the Broncos.
Yes, one other place. I was at the University of Kansas for a year there with Coach Miles his first year. But right after my stint at West Point, I got a chance to go to the NFL with the Baltimore Ravens, learn from some of the great special team minds and Coach Harbaugh, who was a special teams coordinator before he became a head coach. And our special teams coordinator I worked for there, Jerry Rosberg. So I got to learn the game really on the special teams side from both of those individuals. And then got a chance to go to Denver Broncos. Gary Kubiak was our OC. When he got the Denver job, he took me with him. And I got to learn more by Joe DeCamillis, another longtime special teams coordinator who's currently now the special teams coordinator with the Gamecocks right up the road in Columbia. So I've been blessed to learn from some of those great guys, and also a guy named John Bonamego, who was the recruiting coordinator, special teams coordinator at West Point. Learned a lot from him, and that's who was the head coach at Central Michigan. So I've been surrounded by some really, really outstanding, some giants in the special teams world. And it's even a pleasure, even more so, working with Maurice in the special teams world and understanding what that life is, and give me an opportunity to do some things to get these guys playing fast.
We're going to talk about special teams, and because I think most fans don't understand it really. They know it's a major facet, but what's it like when your head coach coached the same thing that you coached so long and so hard? That's got to be a miserable existence sometimes.
It can be at times at some places. It's always the hardest position to coach, no matter where it is. But Mo and I, we share a brain pretty much when it comes to special teams. He gives me the kind of, hey, do what you do. Of course, he's going to come with suggestions. A lot of times the things that and I seek his insight as well. So we're pretty much on agreement on how we visualize the game and how we visualize special teams. So it's been a perfect marriage in that regards. To be able to do those things I need to get done and give me the time that I need to work on the skills and give me pretty much access to the roster to say this guy here is the best guy for it. If he's a starting receiver, so be it. If he's a starting, cornerback, so be it. And he also understands, me being a head coach at one point, I'm not going to abuse that also. I understand the dynamics. I know certain guys, I understand how the roster works and things like that. So it can be for some guys in some situations, but it's been a perfect relationship with Mo and myself.
Well, to me, it's been one of the major highlights of the season so far. Just about every game we've played, there's been a big special teams play or two. And there's a few names I want to throw out to you. Right now, you have the luxury of having one of the best punters in college football, James
Absolutely.
Platt, leading all of FCS in punting. I think he's number 2 in the country in all of football.
Yes, he is.
And just doing a great job for you. Just reflect on. Most people don't think of a punter as a weapon.
Right.
But he is a weapon.
He is absolutely a weapon. There's nothing like the punt game. That play exchanges the most field on any given play. That's a 40, 45, in Platt's case, doggone near 50 yards of exchange field position. So, you have to putt the ball from your 30-yard line. He can put that thing inside the 10. And now that offense has a long way to go. In college football, it's very hard for offenses to drive the length of the field. So if you can give them a longer field, they have to work harder and make less mistakes. So he's definitely a weapon in that. And the thing about him, he's an athlete. He gives us opportunities where we can keep teams on their toes in the fake game. And he works hard at his craft. He works hard. He's one of the strongest guys in the weight room. And, he brings that to us, and the team understands that. And for him to be where he is also a testament to our punt coverage unit, because also being that he's the number 1 punter in FCS, we're the number 7th ranked net punting, well over 42 yards a punt. So that's huge. That's huge. We know every single time if we have to punt, that defense, we're going to exchange at least 40-plus yards of offense. Well, that's going to be yardage to our defense.
Not even so much James Platt. I mean, he's had a great year, and arguably one of the biggest differences in that Samford game. He pinned him back at the 7, 3 and out. That turned into a score. He pinned him at the 2, 3 and out. That turned into a score. So kudos there. But you've also blocked 5 kicks this year.
Yes.
Number 2 in the country with that.
Number 2, we should be number 1. We should have got 3 at Western Carolina, and we just missed them. But yes, we pride ourselves on being a block unit, and we come after it. And again, I'm not a passive guy when it comes to that. If I see something I think I can exploit, I'm going to go after the ball. And having a head coach who allows me to be aggressive in those realms, because the biggest thing that a lot of guys don't want to do is don't rush a punter.
Right.
He's lived in that world. He's been in that. He understands, how game-changing it can be, and he allows me to go after punts and be aggressive, and it galvanizes the team because those guys get hungry after that, and they look forward to it. So.
Let's talk a little bit about the strategy of that. A lot of people think you get the fastest guys, you just make them rush, and somebody's going to beat somebody and get a hand on it. But it's a lot more than that. It's a huge numbers game. It's almost like playing chess versus checkers.
Yes, it's a very nuanced thing. You have to understand it's not always the fastest guy. It's a guy that may just have a great get off, and a guy that has the ability to stick their hand out and pardon the term I'm going to use, but really look down the barrel of a gun there as they are putting their hands. Guys like to swat at it, and you're not going to block a punt that way, but just having that distinct ability to shoot that hand out and put your eyes right on the ball and put your hands where your eyes are to take the ball, literally take it off the foot. And we've had different guys do that in our field goal blocking. Bradley Jones, who's number 2 in the country at blocking field goals, he's got that great elite speed. But when you talk about the numbers game into it, I spend a lot of time evaluating. That's one of the first things I go to. I look at their punt team and try to find a weakness in their scheme and try to bring a numbers game to it in order to force them to either alter what they do or just find a mismatch. And we even when we haven't blocked a punt, we've put pressure on people to allow them to shank some punts and still give us great field position.
Now, I don't know if you watched the Clemson-Louisville game Saturday night.
Did not.
You need to go back and look at that because Louisville obviously found a chink in the field goal armor because they ended up blocking 2, and they blocked 2 the exact same way. There's a lot to be said about it. It's a huge momentum shifter. and it just can turn a game in a heartbeat. Now let's talk about a couple of those other players. You mentioned one a minute ago, Bradley Jones, blocked a couple of field goals already. Really coming into his own at that cornerback position. Yes. He's one of those guys that you said you have access to the roster, and he's really done some great stuff on that field goal block team. But also the freshman, Braylon Knopf.
Yes.
We keep thinking he's going to bust one.
We do too.
I think every time we've played, I think Brian even says it on the air, I think this is going to be the time. This is going to be the time. He's like a little water bug out there, isn't he?
Yeah, and it was when you identify a guy with those skill set, you know right away. The first, when he was there in the summertime, the first day he's out there doing workouts, and I see him change direction, and I go to Mo, and I was like, that's our punt returner. And he was like, I said, yeah, we get him through the knot, we can get through the butt. I said, that's our punt returner. And he has the skills. This is a unique skill you have to have. You have to be a little bit of a screw loose to be a punt returner.
Yeah, he has no fear.
Body's flying over the place, and he's smart. He had great decision, and the guys feel it too. And that's when you really know you have one, because the coach you got to say, but the players on the punt team and the kickoff return team, they know it's going to be punt return team. They know we have one. So it puts everybody on high alert. Hey, I need to make my block because I don't want to be the guy that prevents him from breaking a break return or taking it to the house. And we've been close here and there, and we've gotten a little less opportunities over the last few games, but we're itching to get that one to get him in the end zone.
Well, looking at the stats from last week, with Western Carolina was able to return 3 punts against Chattanooga. Which leads, and they only averaged 40 some odd yards a kick, I think. Right. So
43
led me to think that there might be some opportunity coming up this week for Braylon to maybe show off a little bit.
Well, we won't give away everything on it, but our job is to, again, make those guys uncomfortable, make the punter uncomfortable because of our reputation of bringing pressure, and make the return team, their blockers uncomfortable, knowing, okay, not only have to protect against these guys, they have a guy back there. If we're not right, he can take one. So we know he can make that first guy's miss, and we have to make some other opportunities to get him in the open field so he can do what he do.
Now, of all the special teams, I know there's probably one that you like being out on that field more than the other.
Which one? I know punt is the most important. That's why we call it our pride team. But I think it's a very 1-1A between kickoff, which we call our attack team, and our punt return team. Because, again, we can be aggressive, go after punts, change the game, and nothing like a kickoff, attacking the game and getting down. I call that's the tempo setter for our special teams unit. I told Mo from the get-go, every chance I get, I want to start the game with kickoff because I want those guys flying down the field, making plays, putting them deep.
It's the hardest I ever got hit. Was on the kickoff team my freshman year. We were playing up at Marshall, and of course I was on the quarterback depth chart, so I wasn't watching a lot of special teams. They crossed their front line, and the first time I saw the guy, he was in my ear hole.
Got one cut loose.
And I'm telling you, I landed about 10 yards over there on my back of my head. I was looking for him the next time, though.
I'm sure you were.
And but that is kamikaze. Real quick before we go to break, I want your perspective because you've coached in the NFL. And there's a completely different kickoff and kickoff return happening in the NFL. You first of all, your perspective on it, because it's taken away one of the most exciting plays of the game, I think, but it's also taken away potential for more injury. So what's your perspective?
I think they're trying to get the best of both worlds in there. By getting the extra space in it. I think the special teams coordinators in the league are still trying to find a way to get what they want out of it. So I understand the injury part of it. Again, those guys are some of the smartest football coaches out there. In my perspective, it's turned into more of a run play than an actual special teams play. So once they figure out how to scheme it up to block it like a zone play or a power play or something like that in the offensive game, then you'll start seeing some big returns happening out of there. So, but I think that's what the key thing is, just trying to find that sweet spot. So, but let's see how I was playing. I'm looking forward in all season talk to some of the guys that I know that are still in the league in the special teams world to see what their thoughts are.
Has there been any conversation about that peeking its way into the college football level?
I hope no. There's a lot of things that I think that's going on in the college game, NFL game, that should be in the college game already that are not. I hope that doesn't, because, again, now, if they do that, I think that'll eliminate some evaluation opportunities for guys to get to the league, some returners, guys to make special teams, get that film to play at the next level, because unless you're a top pick, the way for you to stay in the league and make a roster is be a guy on special teams.
Right.
And I think kickoff and kickoff return will show that. So hopefully they keep that in the pros and not college, because that'll allow these guys in college to really showcase what they can do so they can make a roster.
Oh, amen to that. If I get a vote, that's how I'll vote.
Yes, sir.
We are going to have to go to break here. We had Tony Coaxum with us here. He's the special teams coach and also the game day management guy. We didn't talk about game day management, but I see you on the sideline every time I come down there. You're very busy when it comes to that too. We're at Dunleavy's Pub, and you're listening to Beyond the Barracks. We'll be back after these messages. Lee Glaze here at Dunleavy's Pub. You're listening to the Beyond the Barracks show. Brian Giffen can't be with us here tonight. He's up in Boston, Massachusetts, as the Dogs are getting ready to take on Boston College tonight. Make sure to tune in. I think tip-off is 8 o'clock. He'll be coming on very shortly after we're done here, so you can just listen to Brian after we get finished here. We got head coach Maurice Drayton back here with us. Of course, we are brought to you by Cutwater Spirits, and just very happy to be here. Got a great crowd here tonight.
Awesome crowd.
And have you been able to eat yet?
No, I haven't. I've been running my mouth talking to the Citadel faithful, and we're so thankful that they came out tonight.
Got a lot of them here. I saw some old faces here earlier. I shouldn't say old. I'm getting kind of old too. But head coach Les Robinson was here earlier. John Carla, and Les may still be here. I don't know if he's here or not.
Big coach is still here.
Yeah, and Turkey Moore and a lot of other folks. So very well represented here at Dunleavy's Pub on Middle Street on Sullivan's Island. Of course, I grew up on the other side of the water over on James Island, so it's quite a trek to get over here.
Yes.
And of course, you grew up I-26 a little bit.
Monk's Corner.
Yep. So
I call it God's country.
God's country. Okay, I got you. Let's dial in to this week, and let's talk a little bit about Chattanooga. We talked about them some in the first segment, but I know you always come in here with notes upon notes upon notes about things that you want to make sure that you talk about. That as far as your team is concerned, and this could be a big challenge this week.
Yes, it is a big challenge, but it's attainable. We feel confident about our plan. We were able to get a jump on Chattanooga. Last week we spent Tuesday and Wednesday getting a preliminary look at some things that we want to do. Yesterday, I call it a bonus Sunday coming off of bye week. We were able to spend more time on what we needed to do for Chattanooga as well. So you'll see some new wrinkles. Anytime you come out of a bye week, you have the opportunity to invest in some plays that you wouldn't normally have time to do during the week.
Gadget type plays, might I ask?
Absolutely, and mainstay. We're always going to have that in our arsenal, especially on special teams. It's kind of a running joke in the league now. Everyone's worried about what we're going to do on special teams, and we want to keep it that way. So that's why I publicly talk about it. It's not a secret.
Do we have a signal for all of our plays this week?
Oh, my goodness. You know what?
Recount that story for us.
Yeah, it was very disappointing. So 4th and 1, we wanted to go with a hard count, no snap, to see if they would jump off sides to get a free first down. They didn't jump off sides, and there was a play that I wanted to run, but we did not have.
It was a new play.
It was a new play, a system to get that information to JB to call it at the line to run that play. So that's on me. I need to follow through and make sure when I have those great ideas late at night on the chalkboard that I bring it to fruition with our staff.
Something I meant to ask you last week, but we ran out of time because it was so jam-packed full with that big win and all that. But you had a bagpipe kicker to go out there and just drill it from 30, 35 yards. Yeah. And then I saw you talking to him afterwards. Did you give him your card and say, we need you to come on out and maybe kick a few?
Absolutely. We're always recruiting. It's so funny. Sometimes I can be in public and I look at like the dimensions of another human being and I may make a comment, I wonder what position he would play or she would play even. So I'll be honest with you, I'm constantly looking to find good talent.
You don't see that very often, a guy coming out there in a bagpiper's kilt and knock it through from 35 yards.
Oh, it was awesome. I wanted to get him on the radio show. We couldn't track him down, but we're still working on that.
Well, that would be a lot of fun. That would be a whole lot of fun. Talk about the significance, if you would, of – I know when you played, homecoming, it is a labeled game. But talk about the significance of it in your program. I know it's got to have some significance because this is going to where you have the most alumni eyes on your guys and your team for the whole year.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Homecoming is the, outside of graduation, signature event on campus. We will have the most alumni back at any point in time during the school year during homecoming. Congratulations to all the classes who are coming back to celebrate their reunions. It's a fun time to be on campus. we look forward to putting on a good show, a good product. But at the end of the day, it's about finding a way to get a win. So with homecoming comes distractions. So we have to do a very good job of keeping the main thing, and eliminating distractions.
That's a great message. It's sometimes, I think it's a little harder to do that maybe around Parents' Day than it is homecoming, because you've got so many other distractions with the rings and everything else that goes with that. But homecoming's a big day, and our objective, what we hope, is that they'll leave those tailgating tents and come into the stadium and watch the game. And maybe if we're just a little bit worse on the radio, they won't be as tempted to listen to it out there and get it inside and watch you guys play a little bit. Chattanooga is a big play offense.
Yes.
They are a very dynamic defense.
Correct.
Very athletic. Transfers, I know you know the numbers from everywhere. But that's no different than anybody else that we play, except for maybe VMI and Furman.
Yeah, that's today's football right now. So we have to adapt and create plans so that we can be successful. Chattanooga's defense is high-powered. Their interior D tackles are difference makers. Both of them are seniors. Both of them will have the opportunity to possibly play on Sunday. But then you look at their secondary. They have 15 interceptions on the year. And in addition to that, they have 5 fumble recoveries. So we're talking about 20 turnovers, and then their offense doesn't turn the ball over. If you look at the stat, they're +8. That's unheard of. So we have a big task in neutralizing those interior players, making sure those defensive backs keep their hands off the ball.
Amen to that. They've always had stout interior defensive linemen, as long as I can remember, and very difficult to move them. Does that, without giving away game plan, does that mean that maybe we're looking more on the perimeter or some misdirection type stuff, or you don't want to show all your cards?
No, I mean, that's a fair question. I will always revert back to boring football. And what do I mean by that? It means we would like to establish the run, whether it's quarterback run or whether it's through our running backs. And one of our goals is to establish the run game through the four-headed monster, as you alluded, because they all bring a different type of offense to the table. We have a power game. We have Corey is probably the most complete back, the speed back with Johnny and Coop. You'll see a run game, because if we can win the time of possession, if we can move the chains, if we play what I call boring ball, it keeps their high-powered offense off the field.
So what's that number for you on first down? 4 yards?
Obviously, we would like 4 yards, but
you'll take more.
Yeah, we'll take more. And they're on scholarship too. So it may be 6 yards. Then it may be 2 yards. Then you come back with 4 yards. So it's ebbs and flows to it, as long as it averages out.
To about 4. Well, I know 4 yards and 3 times with 4 yards, and you're just going to move the chains all the way down the field.
Absolutely.
We got to be able to get out here shortly. As we talked about earlier, Brian Giffen is up in Boston, and he's with the Bulldogs up there taking on Boston College tonight, and his pregame show will start as soon as we cut it off here. So good luck this weekend. We're going to have a big crowd, and everybody's pulling for you.
Thank you once again. Thank you for making the drive. That's awesome.
That's head coach Maurice Drayton. We are at Dunleavy's Pub. You're listening to the Beyond the Barracks show. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Go Dogs up in Boston.
Go Dogs.